Hello everyone, this is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. Today we're going to be doing an interesting presentation. It's a follow-up to a previous study that we presented about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And in that scientific study, we shared with you the initial results of our findings about the quality of the signature verification of ballots that took place in Maricopa County. At that time, when we did that study, we did a sample size of around 500, which represents, in statistical terms, 95% confidence. Over the last several weeks, we've done now a study that goes over 2,500, in fact, over 2,700. We've done 2 analyses within what we call an extended study. And that study also confirms the pilot study, and I want to share that with you. I believe this is going to be educational for most of you. I hope you enjoy it. What this extended study confirms at minimum is that over 200,000 mail ballots with mismatched signatures were counted without review, which is called curing, and you're going to learn about that. This process of curing occurs in 22 states in the United States. Think about Maricopa as a case study of potentially what's going on elsewhere. Now, one constraint of this study I want to point out to everyone is not having access to the signature files from the county. So we had to go mine and get our own signatures that were publicly available. Now, given the nearly 10x difference in EVBs to be cured, we found out 215,000. The county had 25,000. Between this study and the county's actual numbered cured, if the county were to provide their signature files, an update to the study could be performed. Now, this study used a sample of 2,770. That's 5 times larger than the pilot study, and that gives a 99% confidence level with plus or minus 2.5% margin of error. So much more higher resolved study. Then we had to go get these signatures for those samples. Well, where did we find them? Well, the county did not give us the signature files. So we went to the recorder's database, which is a publicly available database where you can find people's deed signatures, and we mined those. So we have 2 signatures side by side. Now, someone could say our study could be inaccurate because the signature that we got from the counties, was that really accurate? So we did 2 sets of studies, and I'll show you what we did here. We first did all 2,770, and that's called analysis A, but we also did another analysis, because what we discovered was when we did the first analysis, there were about 290 signatures where everyone said, hey, these are definitively bad signatures. Everyone agreed these are mismatches, to be specific. Okay, so we said, okay, if they're mismatches, that's pretty amazing. Or it could be that we got the wrong signature. So guess what we did? Instead of keeping them to make our accuracy improve and make people more confident, we said, we're going to eliminate that, okay, and still see how it is. And that was a second analysis we did. And we also took out some others that we were even more being paranoid. So out of 2,770, we removed around 391, and that was 2,379. And then we did a second analysis, and I'll share with you that. So we really did 2 analyses within this study. These counties that do signature verification, they have trained staff, but the training they get is a few hours, okay? It's not like they're forensic document examiners. So we also looked at how the trained novices would do on our end, right? We emulated what occurs in Maricopa. First, they have the trained staff, volunteers, people who are not FDEs, who find a signature mismatch. It then goes to a manager, someone with more expertise. And if they also say it's a mismatch, then it gets sent to curing. Curing is where they call people to say, hey, maybe the person had Parkinson's or they had a difficulty, and that's why their signature's off. So it's really a 2-step initial review process. So we simulated that by doing this 2-step process. So we had really 3 signature mismatch rates we calculated for both analyses. Here were the results from the 2020 election. So what we see here is that out of all the 1.19 million plus ballots, 25,000 were sent to be cured. And that's about 1.31%. Now, out of the ones that were sent to curing, 587 were finally decided to be bad signatures, which is 3/100ths of all the EVBs, all 1.9 million, and it's about 2.3% of the cured. So the first analysis we did was on the sample of 2,770 samples. Among all the FDEs, the experts, 48.98% on average, they would say, hey, this early voting ballot has a mismatch. But remember, experts are seeing things that non-experts do not see. Then we said, let's do with trained novices, non-experts, non-FDEs. And that helps us calculate a different signature mismatch rate for the novices, which we call alpha. And that turned out to be 28.5. Then we did something more interesting. So the case we're looking at is if just the FDEs did it, over 900,000, they would have said would have cured. If just the novices did it, over 500,000. But in the election process of curing signature verification, apparently in Maricopa, it's a two-step initial review process. First, the trained staff, in this case, a trained novices, review it. And if they say, hey, this is a mismatch, it goes to an expert or the manager. And then the expert reviews those again. So it's really a joint probability. So we did that in the extended study, a little more sophisticated than we did in the pilot. If we followed the two-step process in Maricopa using both people, this would mean that over 400,000 early voting ballots should have been cured. Now, obviously, people would say, hey, well, this seems high. And the reason your study is flawed is because you didn't use the same signatures that the county did. Remember, we went and used the signatures that we got from the deeds repository. And again, if the county gave us their signatures, this would not be an issue. We would just use that. So we sort of stepped back and we said, okay, let's be even more strict. Maybe some of those 2,770 pairwise things, we should throw away some of them. Maybe some of them that we suspect the genuine signatures could be bad, let's throw them away and then redo the analysis. So how did we do that? Well, we did two very interesting things here. We removed another 101 where we did further scrutiny, where we looked at the middle initials and we did more scrutiny on the middle initials matching. And if the middle initials didn't match, then we again checked the addresses. So we found about 101 there. But then we said, let's look at all the ones from the previous analysis that the FDEs, all three, said were not matching. That's 582. And let's look at all the ones that the trained novices said were not matching. That's 363. And then we said, how many of them do all six agree not matching? Now, what could that mean? It's called the wisdom of the crowds in statistics. We said, why don't we say all of those are bad, right? It could be two possibilities. The genuine signatures we got are bad, or they're indeed mismatches. But we took a conservative case and we said, let's just toss them all out, okay? So again, giving the benefit of the doubt to our critiques who may say, hey, you got the wrong genuine signatures. So we did that. So we took out all those 290. At the end of the day, we removed 391 pairwise signatures and we ended up with a new sample of 2,379. What's interesting is among those 209, just to let everyone know that we removed, there were some that were so clearly genuine signatures because we had the address match, middle initial, out of that 290 pool. But we threw them all away just to let you know that we're being concerned. We even threw away definitively genuine signatures. That's fine because we want to lower our probability of error. This is analysis B. And in the two-step process, we know, as we talked about, Maricopa has trained staff do it, then they send it to their manager. So we did the same thing. But notice this time it's 2,379 pairwise signatures. And so first we calculate how many would have gone to the manager, which is E times alpha. And that is found to be 429 EVBs, less than before, which is what we would expect. And then we want to calculate what is the two-step mismatch rate, including both the novices and the FDEs. And we find that to be 11.29%. So we put it all together, 11.29%. Again, this is a very, very conservative number because we've now eliminated any ones we were potentially thinking were not genuine signatures, and we're redoing the analysis. So what do we find? We find in the most conservative case, 11.29%, 215,856 ballots should have been cured. Let's compare that now. So what that means is that when you line up in this second analysis, more conservative analysis, at minimum, 215,856 ballots should have been cured. That is far more than what the county cured, which is 25,000. If based on the extended study, as you're seeing here, that yields a minimum signature mismatch rate of 12.29% and the county's post-curing mismatch rate of 2.3%. That means 4,965 EVBs at minimum. That's what should have been thrown out versus 587. So that's important in such a close race. And the conclusion that we have that we want to put forward is the Maricopa County Election Department states that it has a rigorous signature verification process. If you read their stuff, they say they have a rigorous signature verification process, but they only cured 25,000. And our extended study confirms the pilot study and puts forward that they actually have a flawed signature verification process. If the county were to provide their signature files, an update to this study could be performed. So we're more than ready to do an update.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. Before we continue with this, I want to just remind everyone that because of the massive censorship and shadow banning that still continues on social media platforms, I'd like you to click the link to continue watching this on our own platform at vashiva.com.